Hey, good afternoon. Welcome once again to Callous Comics Live, and it is the 7th of July, and hopefully there'll be people to be here with me to hang out as I struggle with all this live streaming stuff, but mainly to finish off a couple of comic strips that I had started with, and hopefully this will be the start of a trend of making comic strips again. I've been busy, but I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that where I could finally get back to doing comic strips more regularly. So here is one of the said comic strips. It's based on a kind of popular meme that's going around online lately. So you can pretty much tell what the joke is. But anyway, I'll be coloring this, cleaning up the line work, and the dialogue I might have to do offline. I do tend to have do kind of require a bit more focus to do that part. And having to tool around with all these live streaming stuff, it's a mess. My table's a mess now, ever since I started doing this. Which is odd because back maybe like 8 to 10 years ago, I've been doing live streams and it wasn't this complicated. It's odd. I think it's because live stream viewers nowadays are a bit more discerning on what content they watch. And things need to be HD and stuff nowadays. So I actually have two laptops on one with my imaging software, and another that's actually doing the actual streaming. So I'm tooling around with two computers. I have all this processing power. I don't understand why it's so difficult. But anyway, I'm digressing and whining, so let's get down to it. So you may notice that I actually have a source of light coming from beneath the microphone now, and that's the screen of my new laptop, actually. Alright, I'm still a bit rusty. I'm not as quick as I used to be doing this. So the first thing I need to do is, of course, remove the pencils layer. So that's done. And now, I actually do need to flatten the image, don't I? Oh gosh, what is the... Oh yeah. I have to do Alt and then this. But that didn't work. Okay, let's move back a bit. Okay, after flattening, I do need to... What was it called? Alright. Oh gosh, this used to run so seamlessly, like I do everything out of instinct, but now I actually have to think about stuff. And this is just from being a month off making comic strips, a month and a half maybe. So I need to threshold this, right? Yeah. And next, I need to go to that part. Yeah, I'm supposed to try to get rid of... I should actually watch my older videos. I have to get rid of the anti-aliasing, so I do that by doing this odd thing that I don't fully understand. I just found this advice online. Then I need to select that layer. So what I'm essentially doing is there you go. Separating the line work from the background, right? So if everything went smoothly, there we go. Next, I need to get this ready for newsprint. So I need to change the mode to CMYK. Don't flatten. Okay. So yeah, I just reinstalled Photoshop to this laptop. I transferred my Photoshop from my old laptop to this laptop, so stuff has moved back to default, and I'm having to try to do all this all this weirdness. So we have made it CMYK. Now I need to actually oh, see, I don't even have, I need my information panel there. Right now the line work and the inks are not at 100% K, so what I need to do is adjustments and threshold. That should do the trick. And yes, we are at 100% K now. Alright, so we've separated our line work. We've made the blacks ready for newsprint, and now we can get down to coloring. So there's this meme going around with Anakin Skywalker and Padme, you know, after they frolicked around that flowery field, and if you've seen it, you know what's going on here. If not, you probably will encounter it eventually. Oh, jeez. Oh no, am I the image size is not right. It's not. Alright, we're going back all the way to the beginning to try to fix something. But I see the problem from earlier. Let's try to fix that. Alright, so once again, we're gonna have to start over. Actually, first thing I need to do is to increase the image size. Actually, resolution to 600 dpi. That'll cause stuff to mess up a bit. Alright, next we do need to do a threshold. The reason I brought it up to 600 dpi is to kind of make, when I get to this part, when I do the threshold, it lessens the amount of jaggedness of the line work. So you saw it earlier. Ugh, what am I missing now? I didn't flatten the image. Ugh. Alright. I'm so sorry. Okay, it is flattened. Alright, next we can do our image size to 600 dpi. Alright, next we can finally do our threshold. So now it's a whole lot less jagged. The pencil width is where it's supposed to be now. Alright. Next we have to separate our line work again. I'm having to move out of the way of my microphone now. Alright, so we need to golly, right there. Yes, okay. Apply layer mask. That should make all the white transparent. Yep. Next, we need to make everything CMYK. Don't flatten. Okay. Next, we need to make everything 100K. And I do that again by threshold. You may have been able to see the change in... oh, hi, Mel. Thank you for dropping by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you may have seen the change in... Mel said that I'm very hardworking with the drawing stream. But I kind of use it to force myself to work on the comic. And... but yeah, I'm doing this through two computers now, my old one and my brand new one. The old one is actually doing the actual streaming, and then the new one is doing the actual imaging software, and possibly in the future gaming. But yeah, it's so things are complicated because I'm using two computers. But yes, let's see, where was I? Next, oh, so I've done that. I made everything 100K. Now I need to get to the actual coloring. But thank you, Mel. Sir Mel is, if you caught my stream yesterday, he is another wonderful comic artist. No, my old laptop is very, very old, and it was struggling to do even like Photoshop, so it needed to be replaced. But fortunately, it can still stream, so it can still do that part of the processing to take the stress away from at least the brand new one. But if you have seen any of my comics, it was actually done on this laptop. So all the hundreds of comic strips were done on this old laptop, and it's close to dying. But it's still a good laptop. So I kind of feel bad about discarding it. So I'm still using it to do the actual stream. So that is connected to my computer, to the internet, and so everything you're seeing is actually coursing through my old laptop. Thank you, Benedict. The script, it's based on that whole Anakin Skywalker Padme meme, and yes, this is a Steven Universe cap. I bought it at Emerald City Comic Con, my very first Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. And the store that I actually bought it from has been torn down, so that was kind of fortunate. It was torn down with the rest of the mall to put up a professional hockey rink. So Seattle will have their own hockey team, or probably already does. I haven't been keeping up. And thank you, Gerald. I really appreciate it. Here's the thumbs up for you. So what am I doing now? The script, to entice you guys to actually check out the final comic strip, I will you can probably guess what it is through the live stream, but yeah, I'll keep that a secret until I actually post the comic. Why aren't... oh, because I am not... But yes, I have been off making comics because I've been busy with the day job for the last... Actually, I've been busy with the day job for the past few months, or actually a year and a half. But with comics, I have been off for maybe 2 months already. So I'm a little bit rusty, especially since I just reinstalled Photoshop into this new laptop. So everything had been brought out of my comfortable settings, and everything's been brought back to default, and I'm struggling. I was struggling art-wise yesterday when I was actually drawing these strips, and now I'm struggling with the whole the whole digital aspect of it. But we'll get there. That kind of caught me by surprise. But yeah, the music is being brought to you by... What's the name of the service? By Pretzel Rocks. So this is Catnap by Abstraction. No, this is actually a mass-produced cap. It is official. It is an official Steven Universe cap, as you can see on the side. But I guess it is tougher to find now that that particular specialty shop has been shut down. But I believe this cap is actually readily available everywhere if it weren't for a pandemic. But at least when I was in Emerald City Comic Con that year, there were a lot of yeah, this is kind of sleepy music. I should skip it. This is not enticing me to work. But yeah, there were several people wearing it, so I guess this is like a mass-produced piece of merchandise. But I do appreciate that people recognize that it is Steven Universe. I mean, it's pretty much a red cap with just a star. There is a bit of denim on the actual lid, so people can probably put two and two together and figure it out. But yes, I do love the show. That and Adventure Time are probably my two favorite cartoons in the last decade. Whether anime or Western, I really do love those series. But lately, you know what? Ever since Cebu Comic Con back in 2013, I've been very heavily into anime. Prior to that, the last anime I watched was Macross Frontier, which came out back in 2008. So I pretty much wrote anime off my my stuff that I was into since then. But it wasn't until maybe asking me to, you know, the person who commissioned me was like, oh, can you draw Mikasa Ackerman? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not into anime. I don't know who you're talking about. So he sent me an image, and then I started drawing Mikasa in the Adventure Time style. I wasn't intending to. I just figured, oh, this would be a quick way to, because I don't charge much for my commissions, but this would be a quick way to draw the character. And they liked it, and they told their friends, and everyone was started asking me to draw anime characters in the Adventure Time style. So it became a thing. But you know, I remember the Mikasa Ackerman stuff. So after that day, when I got back to my hotel, it wasn't really that great a hotel, but still. I looked it up. I looked up Attack on Titan, and all I saw was the intro, the opening, and it kind of drew me in. So yeah, if you ever decide to be an anime or in that business where you're actually producing animated series, the opening is very important, because that's what actually drew me in. And then I checked out the series. Was actually, the first season was actually ongoing, so I caught up with the episodes. But when I got back to Manila, and then I was hooked. And then when that season was done, I wanted more. The next anime I watched, I think, was Kill la Kill, and I love that too. And so you know, you get sucked into that world, and you get drawn into all these anime series. But anyway, I'm digressing. I should get back to work. We have a question, and Adventure Time or Steven Universe? Pick one. That's really tough. They are both good in their own way, but I would probably have to pick Adventure Time over Steven Universe. Although I feel the writing in Steven Universe feels a lot more personal, but I like the whole aspect of Adventure Time where it can be this epic scale thing, or it can be something really, I like the randomness, it can be really a very small topic, and yet it's still an adventure, you know? So I see life in the same way. Everything, you know, there's adventure everywhere, there's magic everywhere, and so on. So I can relate to Adventure Time more than Steven Universe, but I just love Steven Universe too. So if I had to pick one, I would pick Adventure Time. I am enjoying their current stuff. The whole Distant Lands one-shots, I am enjoying them. Among them, my favorite one would actually be the one with BMO. I do like the one with Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. I actually kind of like the Finn and Jake one the least, but I still like it. Anyway, yeah. So, going back to this guy, we need to... He is actually... Yeah, I screwed up already. So, let's zoom out. I actually want to make the background the color of his shirt, so I need to change the color of his shirt to maybe not blue. This is one of the challenges I have every day when I do these. What color shirt is this civilian going to wear? I tend to shy away from dark colors because I am anticipating that this will be printed on newsprint, and at least the newspapers in the Philippines have a darker. They're not really super white. They have a darker hue to them, so I do anticipate that the colors will darken. See, I had a specific swatch for Rian scrubs that is no longer here. I'll go with this. If you are into the video game Genshin Impact, I am too, and we have a podcast with several comic artists, with Kai Castillo, Juan Manyanita, Drew from Hong Kong Flashbacks, and Aaron Velasmenio, and we chat about the video game at least once a month. Although we've only had one episode so far, but yeah, the next update is supposedly next update announcement is supposedly coming at the end of this week on July 9th, and we hope to record our reactions afterwards at this weekend. So there will be a live stream on that at my my gaming channel. That's facebook.com/Callous Comics Plays. So yeah, if you could check that out, there will be an audio version uploaded to a separate website eventually. I am doing all the editing by myself, and that's on my free time, and who knows when that would be. So anyway, yeah, let's get down to this. I am actually looking for a particular tool that I can't find. I'm looking for the magic wand. Oh, there it is. Now, to make the background of the hospital, I have a specific color that I use, like a yellow 20. I do need to add this swatch. I use it often. Add the swatches. It's fine. Alright, and okay, so I kind of cheat to do this. I do something that Photoshop has had, a feature that Photoshop has had since forever, which is the cloud. So render clouds. Now the history behind that is the hospital that I use, the hospital that I trained in, actually, although it wasn't yellow, it was green. They actually had a similar pattern on the walls, which drove me insane. And how they did it, how they actually painted this weird, blotchy pattern on the walls back in the hospital, was that because I actually saw them doing it, they crumpled up a wad of aluminum foil, dipped that in paint, and then started, painting the walls. My mentioning the actual color, it's green, probably gives away which hospital I was referring to. If you're from one of the southern provinces of Luzon, you probably know. What OBS am I using? I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Oh, there's an actual hotkey for the Magic Wand, thanks. Oh my gosh, Sir Freely, thank you so much for dropping by. I really appreciate it. I miss everyone. I miss all my comic friends. I haven't seen any one of you. I haven't seen anyone from my among my comic friends in a year and a half. It's been insane, and I miss the community. But yes, Freely Abrigo, I haven't seen him in ages. I really miss him. He's a good friend, and of course, a fantastic cartoonist. Do check him out, Freely Abrigo. Do check out Melka Sipit as well, and Rosel Reyes, who was here yesterday. But yeah, I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Apparently, the shortcut for the Magic Wand is W. Even with the imaging software, I work in medical imaging, and the software that we use, there are all these hotkeys to get to what you need fairly quickly. But no, I still use the mouse. I find the actual menu item, and it takes me a long time because I can't memorize all these shortcuts. The only one I know of when it comes to comics is Control Z. And it's an important one. There was a bunch of hotkeys that I did use to remove the anti-aliasing of my line work. We have a second comic strip that I'll be working on after this one, so I'll talk about that when we get there. And yeah, they were very hardworking with the wad of aluminum foil, and they just started blotching the white wall with yellow blotches. Masaya na kaming makita. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what? I have been watching, and I'll plug it as well, the Indie Comics podcast over on Facebook. Do check it out. They've had many guests on their on their show during the pandemic, and myself included. I was in one of their episodes, and but yeah, it's great to hang out even online. With what we should organize something. We should just hang out on Zoom and I don't know, have a few drinks or whatever, a drink and draw. Who knows? We had one with SKP, that's Samahang Cartoonista ng Pilipinas, or the Philippine Cartoonist Association. We had one a few months ago where we just hung out and caught up. Sir Rod, oh my gosh, we're having an actual Comic-Con right now. Look, the logo is actually shown over here. Anyway, I do have to mention, during the pandemic, Callous actually became the sponsor of a sponsor of a professional football team or professional soccer team. That's Maharlika Manila FC. They gave me this jersey as thanks, and it's become very rare because they were actually having some issues with the kit supplier. But they really appreciated my support, or the comics support of their team. And after many months after the season was done, I actually met up with the general manager of the team, and we caught up. That was actually our first time to meet face to face. But it was odd because we met in a Starbucks, and it was my first time in a Starbucks since the pandemic began, and it was weird, because when you're going to drink your coffee, you have to remove your mask, and it was like, oh, this is awkward, but you know, but yeah, by then I had already been fully vaccinated, and I was a little bit. I gave myself a little bit more leeway with my vigilance. But yes, the great Rod Espinosa, Eisner nominee, multi-award winning comic artist is here on my meager channel. So please, everyone, welcome the great Rod Espinosa. He illustrated Immortal Wings, which is one of the comics I worked on. Oh, my pleasure. Yes, Indie Comics Podcast. Do check it out. We should dance on Zoom. You know what? Game. Forbidden Planet. Are you talking about the store? The last time I was in Forbidden Planet was in London, and the last time I was there, my comics were actually on the shelf. Me and Rod Espinosa's comic Immortal Wings was on the shelf. I had a picture with the shelf, and I posted it on online as well because those of you who have done it before, you get that thrill when you see your hard work on the comic book shelves. And I actually put my comic on top of some of Marvel and DC stuff because it was getting buried underneath all of them. But yeah. So yeah, that was the last time I was in Forbidden Planet. Then I went to another store. It was a smaller comic book shop that I think is more beloved by the comic community in London. And over there, I actually bought my first copy of Courageous Princess by the great Rod Espinosa, who's in the chat now. And yeah, you know what? Yeah, Callous sponsoring a football team. I had to explain to them. It's a long story. There's a lot of things I can't really discuss regarding my sponsorship, but yeah, I gave what the comic could afford, and I explained to them it could be more had there been more Comic Cons, but I really wanted to support their cause. I really wanted to support the team. They have a good idea when it comes to running a football team in the Philippines, which is tough. So they were very welcoming of any amount that I could give. For this upcoming second season, they kind of needed more money than in the first season, so I did up the sponsorship just a little bit, and they were very, very happy with that already. As you can see, my logo is not on the field kit, but it is on their training jersey, which so I think if you look up online on their Facebook page, yeah, the Callous Comics logo is there, and on their training kits. And I made a special logo just for the kit. It's Marianne and Callan and their silhouettes and football gear. But yeah, yeah. So Maharlika Manila FC is the football team that Callous sponsors, and they actually won a game last season, considering it's their debut season. And but yeah, they actually have a very good young talent, if I remember right. MJ Libre, he was very impressive. Future ASCAL, future national team player for sure. He was running circles around the long-time professionals. So we have a lot of hope for him. He's based in Tondo, which makes him fit pretty well with the team. They have a good partnership with the city of Manila. So there you go. Yeah, you know what? I was happy to help them out. I'm a long-time supporter of Philippine football, at least as a fan. I'm a moderator in one of the long-time forums, which is usapangfootball.proboards.com. And Yeah, I've been following the teams, maybe 2005, the national team, since 2005 or 2006. I was in one of the groups that came up with the online groups that came up with the nickname for the team. So we were really tickled pink back in 2010 when we were watching the Miracle of Hanoi, when they actually beat the defending Suzuki Cup champions that's our regional tournament over here in Southeast Asia. Yeah, it really was a miracle, and we beat Vietnam for 2-0, and that kind of kicked off the whole Asgulls craze back then, and I was super happy, to be honest, because I was a fan during the dark ages when nobody cared, and but yeah, that was a great time. Their first home game since then, I actually flew to Bacolod to watch them play against Mongolia. So yeah, and now there's an actual league, and now there's actually 2 Philippine teams in the Asian Champions League, and that's the AFC Champions League. So that was just a dream way back. Like I thought I wouldn't see it on my lifetime, and yeah, they're losing big, unfortunately, but still, we have 2 teams in the Champions League, and that's insane. Unfortunately, it's not. One of them is not Marlica FC, but yeah, it's Kaya FC and United City Clark FC. They're the ones over there traveling around Asia to compete in the Champions League. Unfortunately, they have not won a game. They haven't even drawn a game. They've lost everything. But it's their first time. It's the first time ever for any Philippine professional football team to be in the Champions League. And so yeah, it's a great feeling to see them there, and they seem to be learning a lot as the games go by. No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near that. There, I can name people who can be the equivalent of the great late Dannery in football. I'm certainly not one of them. No, I'm not even close. But I do try to support Philippine football however I can. If you've seen me at a comic convention wearing jerseys, that was kind of me trying to raise awareness of Philippine football. But yeah, I actually have a picture with Dannery wearing a Philippine national team jersey. But anyway, let's get back to making comics. I'm actually, if you've just joined in, I'm super rusty. I've been off making comics for like a month and a half or 2, maybe even 2 months. And I had just reinstalled Photoshop into a newer laptop, and so everything had been brought to default. So I'm struggling. This should have been done a long time ago, but hanging out with you guys is a lot more precious than making this comic strip, to be honest. But yes, this is based on that Anakin Skywalker Padme meme that's been going around. But I'll save the actual gag for later. See, I know a shortcut. Control Z. So yeah, I'll be saving the actual dialogue and gag for later when I actually post the comic. Normally, I do not do the dialogue and speech bubbles while on live stream. But I felt that I needed to do this live stream to actually get me to work on these comic strips. What was the color of this thing again? Thank you, Freely. I appreciate it. Yeah. That's another long story. There's a reason why I have this audio equipment. There's a reason why. There's a reason for everything. I was a freelance voice actor way back. I was actually under a couple of studios for a time, but I no longer am because my studios had disappeared. They were acquired by a large network who had their own voice talent, so they no longer needed people like me. But yes, I specialized in radio ads. I did several radio ads. I dubbed a lot of telenovelas into English. So I was the English voice for a lot of your favorite artistas. It had been my hope to venture into the world of dubbing animation, but my day job took precedence, and the opportunities just never arrived for me. So that's unfortunate. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did events as well. I hosted events, and I did a lot of voiceovers for events. Like, at least with comics, I did the voiceovers for was it GT Macon? Do you guys remember that? So yeah, I did the voiceovers for GT Macon, where I announced their sponsors, like GT Macon 2011 was brought to you by so and so product. But I love doing that. I love trying to make the most mundane products sound amazing, which was what my job was. I remember I did a 6-month stint for Globe for their radio ads, for their Gentext ad with Donita Rose. So if you heard Donita Rose on the radio promoting Gentext for Globe, I was the male voice. I was not the famous person. And so what we did was Donita would say, like, for the month of October, blah blah blah, check out these Gentext promotions or whatever. I forgot what the script was, and then I would have to enumerate all the in a really limited amount of time, because this is a radio ad. I talked really fast, and I had to enumerate all the stuff for all the deals you can get with your Gentext card, and like a. For every purchase of so and so, you get a free iced tea at Bravo Malate or something. And for some reason, that's the promo I always remember. I can't remember any of the others, but that one, because I actually did a whole thing with the name of the place, Bravo, and like Bravo Malate or something. And but yeah, that was a lot of fun. They paid me well too, even though I'm a smart subscriber. And but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I never met Donita, of course. We did a recording separately, and but I can say, I was in an ad with Donita Rose. I think I only have one last thing to do for this comic strip, and that's to do that cloud effect again. So particularly from the years 2009 to maybe 2012, it was a long process of trying to streamline my production, and yeah, doing this little shortcut where I would do that cloud background for the hospital walls was one of those streamlined measures that I did. I never really saw myself as a particularly good artist, but I felt that I had a good sense of the fundamentals. Like, I wanted things to be straight to the point when I draw, and hence my only using one line width is part of the process, so I can have that linear clarity, the clarity of lines. But yeah, so yeah, I'm struggling with having to use two computers, but. Anyway, yeah, so let's do the very important thing of actually saving this. So as you can see, I actually completed inking this comic strip back in June 25, and I hadn't gone back to it since then. But yeah, so that I'll do the dialogue of this. I'll be doing the dialogue of this without the speech bubble. I'll make it look like the meme that with Anakin and Padme. So yeah, since all of you are here, I might as well tell you. So the guy here is doing an online consult with Dr. Rianne, and he is telling her that yes, doctor, what's that? I received the prescription for my maintenance medication, something like that. I might have to make it a bit more concise, but yeah, the second panel will be like, so you'll follow you'll take your maintenance medication and follow the directions to the letter or exactly right. And we have the close up of his face, and then the last panel will be a repeat of of her lines. So yeah, it's kind of a silly gag, and it does require me borrowing the power of that meme for this. So it's not the best comic strip, but it's something. I had to get myself back into the game, back into making comic strips. So yeah, this was a very simple gag, but it's good enough. Shrug. Alright, let's get on to the next comic strip. This is the one I was inking last night, and I penciled it earlier that day in the hospital. Or not in the hospital I worked in, actually, but in a hospital. I was in the waiting area. So what better way to spend time in the waiting area of a hospital or of a clinic than to draw a comic strip? So first thing, of course, to do is to remove the pencils. I was from the generation that actually had to erase pencils beneath your inks. I still do it in Comic Cons when I'm doing commissions on my art cards. But nowadays, since my switch to digital, it's been fantastic. So it's further streamlining the process. Let's see. So here I am again. I'm totally lost. I need to flatten the image. Actually before that. Actually, this order is negligible, I think. No, not that. Come on, brain work. Okay, so I do need to increase the resolution. Because of one of the parts that I go through. I think now I can flatten it. I need to flatten it in order to get rid of the anti-aliasing. And there are two methods I do that. One is to flatten the image and to do this threshold. I don't fully understand why this works, but it does. So if you look more closely, all the blurriness of along the lines has disappeared. Maybe if I can go back one. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of blurriness here that kind of makes it difficult for printing in color, at least. But with the threshold, you get your ones and zeros in a sense. You get your what do you call this? Just black and white, pretty much. We have a comment from the great Freely Abrigo. Facial expression of characters. Nice. Wow, thank you. That's one of the fundamentals of doing a comic strip, really. I mean, all of us here are pros, in a sense. And that's the basic thing. You have to be able to know how to convey what you're trying to say in comics. Or in cartooning. Oh, of course, in comics as well. But with, at least for Freely and myself, and Sir Mel as well, we have a common mentor in the great Ronnie Santiago, and he actually stresses that we are able to convey what we're trying to say without dialogue as much as possible. Although characteristically Callous is a very dialogue-heavy comic strip, but I do have that in mind when I'm penciling and inking to try to say what I'm trying to say without using the words and the speech bubbles as much as possible. It's not possible all the time, of course, but as much as possible when I can do that, I do. And then I still add the speech bubbles, and I think it makes the art more well-rounded and jive well with the dialogue later on, anyway. But yeah, as you can see, I go against conventional wisdom and actually add the dialogue last. You're supposed to do, conventional wisdom would say you do that first. You add your dialogue and speech bubbles first, then add the art, so that none of the art gets cut off by your speech bubbles or your dialogue. But this is the way I've been doing it for many years. This is actually Callous Comics' 25th anniversary this August, and yeah, I've been doing it pretty much the same way, just with a bit of streamlining for the past 25 years. Oof. That made me feel old. So anyway, where are we now? So we've done Threshold. Now I'm going to separate the line work from the rest of the image. Next I need to make a new layer, a copy of that layer, and then, come on brain. This is what I'm doing now is another effort to remove anti-aliasing. I saw this tutorial online. I don't know how it works, but I still do it anyway. But yeah, so here we are. We have this. So that worked out. There's no more anti-aliasing. Actually, when I do shrink this comic strip to send to the Manila Bulletin, it actually, you know, brings the anti-aliasing back. But at least, you know, for my copy, when I do have my comic strips printed, they're well formatted. Now we have that. What we need to do is to get this ready for newsprint, and as you can see, in the CMYK formats, we have many colors for the blacks, which would make the risk of misregistration a lot higher when they do print it. And if you've read the newspaper comics in color in any part of your life, you would know that the misregistration is almost always there. So how I get rid of that is to go into it. I have the layer where if you can see, I've separated the line work from the rest of the image. So so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make everything here 100K, and to do that, since I've already converted it to CMYK, have I? Oh, I have not. So yeah, convert everything to CMYK. Don't merge. Okay. Yeah, and now I would have to make use threshold. And if you can see, I'm not sure if you could see it on the live stream, but it had actually converted the line work to 100% just the black ink. It's a less rich ink, unfortunately, but since misregistration is going to happen anyway, this lessens the blurry effect, because you only have one ink for the line work instead of having 5, you know, and that would just be the black ink, this one. So if I put the mouse over the black hair of Rian, you can see that the K channel is now 100 or 100%, and all the cyan, magenta, and yellow channels are now 0%. So we've done that. Now we're ready to color. Let's make the white background visible again. And you know, to streamline the process, unless the story actually called for me to do shading, and you've seen some of my comic strips with that, I really do just do flat fills. I really appreciate all my comic friends for being here this afternoon. It's been a blast. Once again, what color? I am kind of leaning toward pink, I guess. I'm a bit bothered by the anatomy I have on... Oh, another thing I do is when I do select a color, I check if there is there is a contribution from the K channel, and I just removed that to make that 0, so it doesn't kind of compete for with the line work for the black ink in a way. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that right, but yeah. So this brownness no longer has any of the black ink in it. As for Cal Duck, when I first started drawing him, it was totally in black and white, and anytime he was in color was and this was back in maybe 1995, I believe. I would color using coloring pencils, but the time came during my webcomic days when I felt that, you know, to make the comic strip more attractive to the online audience, I had to move into coloring the comic strips. So in order, I had to streamline the process of coloring Cal Duck's plaid shirt. So this is like the easiest way to do it. And oh my gosh, this is a new computer. The pattern isn't here. What am I gonna do? I'd have to get it from my old laptop, and that's gonna take some time. Sorry everyone, I am going to have to just use a regular color, a flat color. It's not going to be plaid, which is a travesty. But here, we have this issue where, you know, to get a dark red, Photoshop is wanting to use black ink, which I do not want. So in order to do that, one of the things I do is to kind of distribute the black ink's contribution to other colors. What value was it earlier? So yeah, the 40% that was in K, I moved over to cyan, and it's not the best way to go about it, but it'll do. You know what, if you're all still here, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with this, I guess. I will try to actually draw in the stripes, the plaidness. Now this is not streamlined, obviously, but we'll give it a go. And I'm actually doing this via mouse. So I wonder if, yeah, people will probably, at least the very few people out there who are passionate about Callous comics, I love you guys, wherever you are. They'll notice that the stripes on Clad's tartan pattern look different. It'll be a nice surprise for them, I suppose. Yeah, it's a nice workaround, I suppose, for a real oversight that I totally forgot about my patterns. But yes, I do have these preset patterns where I pretty much just fill up the selected area. That'll do, right? But of course that added a lot of time to in the production process. So sometimes when I do have some extra time, I do have this, and you see it a lot in comics, in newspaper comic strips, where you have this shading in the background. But yeah, we need to move along. I did have a pattern, like a tile pattern for Rianne's kitchen way back, which I had lost. Close your lines, Kaz. Gilbert Monsanto always says, close your lines. He doesn't always say it. He only said it once. For some reason, I don't have the viewer count on my chat moderation, so I don't know if you're all still there. If you are, thank you. If not, no worries. What color was Rian's shirt? What is this music? You know, I dig the didgeridoo and everything, but... Oh, this one's actually called Sand Hospital by Aphelion. On Nin Online original soundtrack. Apparently it's from a video game, so let's check it out. I am using Pretzel Rocks for the music, which makes everything like you know, copyright free. And I am on its chill station because, you know, we're chilling as we make these comic strips. We have a comment from the great Rod Espinosa. Your figures and composition fits on those 4 spaces perfectly. One of my best memories ever was when I was in my first Emerald City Comic Con. The table next to me was for Gene Ha, and he was an old Batman comic artist. And I knew who he was, and I was very excited that I was next to his table. And on that note, you know what? Just the row behind me, people like Eric Larson was there. Will Sportacio. I actually met Will Sportacio in Emerald City Comic Con, which is odd. Anyway, going back to this comment, so when Gene Ha finally arrived, he like went straight to my table, and he reached out his hand, he shook my hand. Like, he said, "Oh, your stuff is hilarious. You know, my father was a doctor," and so on. And like, oh my god. Like, I told him I was not expecting you to say that stuff, but thank you so much, and it really made my experience. So he's actually a fan of Callous, and that meant so much to me. He later on the weekend, he kind of like deconstructed my artwork and why stuff worked. You know, he really dug my art style for Callous, and I really wish I video recorded it, but I was just so starstruck, I guess. And he was telling me, yeah, all the reasons the simple art, the simple line work, it all kind of adds up to my panel compositions, like you mentioned. And this is all just instinctual for me. I never really thought about it that much, but it is important for me to know why stuff works in comics, why certain tropes in writing work, so that I can utilize those things with my own twist, as long as you keep the fundamentals there to make stuff that works. And but yeah, so anyway, that was an amazing experience, being next to Gene Ha, and he still follows and likes some of my posts on Instagram and on Facebook, so that's fantastic, and he's such a nice guy. When Comic Con, Komikon, found out that, you know, like Eric Larson was there, Will Sportacio, and Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Those were the guys I met that weekend, and they were telling me, hey, you know, invite some of them to to Comic-Con. But I was not able to ask a great majority of them. But since Gene Ha was right next to me, and he asked him, and he said, oh yeah, I'm absolutely open to visiting the Philippines, because apparently he has never gone to a comic convention in Asia. Can you believe that? So he's very open to going to any comic convention in Asia, and as well as Comic-Con or Comic-Cat. Back then, you know, Asia Pop Comic-Con was still a thing, so I mentioned that as well. But now, yeah, it's really up to Comic-Con and Comic-Cat. Unless, you know, ReedPop decides to have a convention in the Philippines, which I hope happens now that there's no big international comic convention event anymore in Manila. It doesn't even have to be in Manila, to be honest. You can have it in Cebu or somewhere, or Pampanga. One of my favorite Comic-Con experiences was in Pampanga, because they treated us like kings over there. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for the organization financially, but man, that was fantastic. My sales were horrible, but the experience of they treated us like stars over there, and yeah, so that was one of my favorite favorite times in a comic convention. But yeah, and you know what, I always like going to Pampanga. Okay, so I've run into a coloring issue because I don't know how to color this stovetop. Because when I was thinking about it, it was white. So I'm going to do a real... No, I can't do that, actually. The background has to be different because it's a different room. I'm shying away from using the pea green again, since I don't have my background pattern for the kitchen. So I'll just make it blue. And I'll make the handle, I guess, brown. Let's make it wooden. The handle of the frying pan. Again, get rid of the K channel. There you go. That works, right? We do have this weird overlap of two white objects, which I do try to avoid. But it's an egg. What can I do? I am going to have to color the stove something. So... when I think of an old stove, I think of this weird beige color, but... These things that we have to think about, it's maddening. I don't even know what color this is. I don't think I've ever used it. It does have stuff on the K channel. Need to get rid of that. Okay, I think I can use that. That's good enough. Yeah, it kind of ages the stove, I guess. So that's actually a silent panel. I'm not gonna do anything more with that. But yes, need to keep things simple and to the point, because you're only given like a few seconds of a reader's, you know, attention in the newspaper comics page, and I guess online as well. People need to move on and get on to what they're doing, I guess, in a way. Speaking of cooking, or cooking eggs, during the pandemic, I do feel that I tried to really perfect how I cook eggs, and I have gone to the point where I feel like I'm at the point in cooking eggs where I feel like, yeah, I got this down, you know. My family seems to enjoy my cooking anyway. It kind of helped that in the early stages of this pandemic, I started watching this anime called Food Wars, or what was it? What was it in Japanese? Shokugeki no... No. Shokugeki no Soma or something? I forgot. Okay. Speaking of cooking, I was just asked if I was going to cook dinner. So we do need to move along because I do need to do that. And we're almost done anyway. We have maybe 2 more panels. I'll be doing, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be doing the rest offline. Not the ideal way to do this, really. But it'll have to do for now. I feel kind of dumb for forgetting that I didn't have my my plaid pattern in this computer yet. I need to color on my signature. So one of the streamlined things I did was to add all this social media and website stuff in the gutter of my template. There was a time when maybe like for a month, or not even a month, like the whole time, I would actually type in the that stuff every comic strip, and finally I figured, like, you know what, I'm just gonna put it on the template itself. Oh no! Close your lines. Gilbert Monsanto always says, close your lines. I'm sorry, I just remembered what the punchline was. This is another silly joke, nothing really deep, but it kind of makes me chuckle. I have another comment, but it's a little hidden. Oh, there. Holes in the drawing that happens a lot. Yeah. And the reason why I say that every time I do that, when I do a flat fill and all the color just spreads everywhere, is I always remember a Facebook post by the great Gilbert Monsanto where he says, like, artists, close your lines so you can make the life of your colorists a lot easier. So that always comes to mind whenever I encounter that problem, and I end up mentioning it a lot also, because I always tend to not close my lines. And but yeah. So no, the great Gilbert Monsanto does not always say close your lines, but that is what I remember. And if you don't know him, yeah, Gilbert Monsanto is another wonderful Filipino comic artist, and he has international work up his sleeve as well, or in his resume. Oh, what am I doing? That's ugly, but oh well. Just need to... Oh, this is the wrong yellow. Where am I? This is the yellow I'm supposed to use for the background. Since printing on newsprint, and even in my collection books, tends to darken the colors, I did intentionally lighten, lighten a lot of the standard colors that I use. And I figured, you know what, that saves the newspaper some ink. Alright, I think we're done with this. Oh yeah, let's do the very important thing of saving our work. Alright. So that's it for this stream. I actually have to go, do my my husband and daddy duties now. But hey, you know what? We colored 2 comic strips today. That's fantastic. I'm quite confident that I will be able to finish these 2, and but I will be posting them on separate days. So that's 2 days worth of comic strips. That's 2 payments, hopefully, from the newspaper if they do accept it and decide to publish it. Oh, we have a comment. That's true. I was just looking at the print. Okay. Yes, the paper does, depending on the paper of choice of your publisher, it does tend to darken the inks, and yeah, I am conscious of that. In a way, I do like how it darkens Rianne's skin, makes her seem a bit more Asian. Back when she was just a webcomic, her race was kind of ambiguous, but now I kind of like that in print it leans toward the more Asian side. So but I've always made her racial identity a bit ambiguous in a way to I guess to widen the audience. But yeah, in my mind, she is Southeast Asian, so that's Rianne. And fan arts from abroad seems to agree with me. They do tend to color her with a bit more tanned skin, and I appreciate that. So anyway, thanks everyone for dropping by. I really appreciate everyone leaving their comments and their likes and their hearts and so on. Here's 2 thumbs up for all of you. Here's a heart for all of you, and stay healthy, stay safe. I really hope to hang out with all of you face to face real soon. I'm very happy that a lot of you have gotten your vaccine jabs, and yeah, so yeah, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be working on a new comic strip, so hopefully